Minks are highly aggressive semi-aquatic creatures. They are also known as water weasels, and they are vicious and ruthless. They have a habit of killing prey much bigger than themselves, and usually they kill more than they can eat. Whether you've seen a mink in action before or not, stick around as we look at the fearless and feisty mink in action. Number 15, Mink versus Rabbit. This mink is teaching this rabbit a lesson in the art of war, and the rabbit is not enjoying it. It's trying to escape and run for its life, but the water weasel is holding on tight. Very tight, as a matter of fact. If you watch the mink carefully, it's suffocating the rabbit the same way big cats kill their prey. You can see the rabbit slowly dying in the grasp of the little furry predator. Then the mink drags the bunny to a safer and more discreet place to eat it. It's a lot of work for the mink because the rabbit is quite big. This rabbit was strolling along on this nice winter road when it was ambushed by a crazy mink. The mink tries to hold on to the bigger rabbit, but the rabbit is putting up a fight and gets away momentarily. But the mink is not about to let go of such a tasty meal. The mink bites and tries to choke the rabbit, but the fluffy bunny is tough. However, it can only resist the mink's constant biting for so long and eventually succumbs to the attack. It is obvious rabbits can't defend themselves against minks, and this video is another demonstration of this. In the dead of winter, another mink pulls its victim back to its den to eat in peace. This is one time where size doesn't matter at all. A man heard a rabbit squeal by the riverbank and found it was wild mink attacking a rabbit. The mink had the rabbit by the head. In the end, the rabbit got away underground. Number 14, Mink versus Snake. Onlookers saw a mink run across the road ahead of them as they walked down a country road. The mink had cornered what appeared to be a northern water snake about 24 inches long by the time they approached it. They watched as the mink chewed on the snake's tail and then went under the water snake to get to the head. The snake was killed by the mink after repeated attempts to pull it out from under a rock, but by then the snake's body was firmly stuck between the rocks. The mink looked at them every now and then, but quickly returned to his task. A woman and her 11-year-old daughter were hiking with their dog at a state wildlife management area near their home when the daughter reported seeing something move in the grass. So with her new camera, she was able to capture something unique, whether on a nature trail or not. It was just to show that perseverance and patience pays off. A mink had snatched the snake, and it wasn't a small snake. But the mink was pulling the snake towards it and attacking it until the snake was no longer alive. Number 13, Mink versus Muskrat. A mink and a muskrat are engaged in a vicious fight under a pier, which carries into the water as both animals fight underwater. The mink comes out of the water empty-handed. I'm guessing the muskrat gave him a good fight and escaped. A mink ambushes a muskrat on the side of a road, and even though the muskrat tries to fend the mink off, the mink manages to drag the muskrat into the forest. This mink attacks a muskrat in a little stream, and it's another vicious battle. Even though the muskrat is tough and is giving it everything it has, this mink seems to know what he's doing, and he's got the momentum. So I think it's the end of the road for this muskrat, unless a miracle happens, which is not the case. Mink drags a dead muskrat along the small stream after killing it in a fight. I guess for these little guys, it's harder for them to drag the dead animal than it is to kill it. Number 12, Mink versus Opossum. Opossums are talented actors, and they are well known for playing dead when they feel threatened. But in this video, I don't think this opossum will have to play dead because he will be dead for real soon. If this continues, the opossum is already all blooded up and the mink is not done. The opossum seems overwhelmed and somewhat stunned as the mink wants to go for another round. This looks like it's gonna be a knockout. Number 11, Mink versus Chicken. This mink enters a chicken coop looking for food. Apparently, it was able to kill dozens of chickens over time. There are some geese in the coop, and they try to repel the mink. It seems to work until the mink comes back from the other side and snatches a small chicken. Geese are alerted, but it's too late. Minks are small, so they can get through small holes and enter chicken coops easily. They kill for sport and drink blood, so they are a force to be reckoned with. You have seen them in action, so it's not difficult to believe this. With everything being relative, these small weasels are as dangerous as lions and tigers. This mink managed to steal a chicken from a chicken coop and kill it. In the video, it's dragging the chicken across the road and into the tall grass where it can eat it. Chickens are tough opponents, and I have seen some chickens stand up to much larger opponents. But the mink has a way of getting what it wants. Number 10, mink versus fish. This mink went fishing, and after catching a fish, he decided to take the fish up in a tree. I guess he felt safer eating the fish up there away from possible threats that could steal his catch. This mink has caught a fish and runs on the frozen lake with it in its mouth, probably heading home to his den to feed his family or eat the fish by himself if he's single. A mink stole their fish while these people were photographing a red gurnard they caught on a fishing trip in Norway. They were about to return it into the water when this cunning animal stole it. These astute creatures must be one of the only species with a criminal record. This mink had the catch of the day. Not only are minks great hunters, but they're thieves as well. You can see how fast the mink grabs the fish and runs. I guess the people didn't care much about losing their catch because they weren't keeping it anyway. And it was definitely worth the laugh they got watching the mink in action. While fishing with a friend, this mink came by to steal their only fish. They could not detach the fish from the string lock, but in the end, the mink bit the head off and took the fish. What an unexpected turn of events. Number 9, mink versus crab. Some people saw a mink hop across the beach and slip into the water, where he dove down for maybe 15 seconds and came back up with a crab. I think he had been waiting up on the bluff where he could see into the water, so he was watching for his prey and then went and got it. Number 8, mink versus swan. This mink is all over this swan, and as much as the big bird tries to escape, he's unable to. The mink is relentless and eventually pushes the swan into exhaustion to finish it off. Swans are tough birds, but I guess this mink didn't get the memo before attacking the bird in the water. This is a vicious fight, but the swan is a big bird, and the mink wasn't able to overpower it. You have to give kudos to the mink for trying, though. The cameraman stated that he followed the swan for 3 days after the incident to make sure he was okay. And on the 3rd, he could tell the swan had recuperated from the fight and was eating and going through his usual daily routine. Imagine, a small animal like the mink beat up a swan. It needed 3 days to recuperate. This mink surprises this swan when it goes directly for the bird's head. The swan flaps its wings and jumps all over the place to dispatch the mink, and it works. The mink is not able to hold on to the swan and will have to look for some other animal to pester on this day. Number 7, mink versus coyote bobcat. Now, here is a mink that's either crazy or just wants to test its strength when it goes up against a coyote.